This show is about natural resources and helping people, perhaps not as sophisticated or experienced as yourself, understand, is it possible to make money? They're lucky enough to have money to be able to invest. They want to make more. They want to invest in natural resource because they're being told it's a reasonably safe sector to invest in, despite being distracted by technology and healthcare and cannabis and all sorts of wonderful things. Do you think it's possible for people to make money in this space, or should they be looking elsewhere?
Well, people don't really have many options. They can either keep their money in the bank, in which they today earn a negative yield mostly. They have no other way but to invest somewhere. They can speculate in properties, which are around the world very, very expensive. And similarly, just about everything is too expensive these days. So in trying to get yields, you have to invest somewhere. Now, there are a lot of con companies in the natural resources space, and you have to be extremely careful. When people want to invest in these companies, I think they should put in enough time to investigate what's happening in these companies. They should try to give in a lot of time putting a value on these companies before they actually go ahead and invest in natural resource sector.
Right. So do your homework is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Don't do, if you can't do the homework, don't do it. Don't invest in this sector. Don't fall for sound bites and euphoric conversation with other people. Just do a serious study, serious evaluation of these companies on your desk yourself, and make it a very rational analysis before you invest. You can actually do quite well doing investing in the natural resource sector.
So you're a guy who does your homework. What are your broad investment themes?
I like to mostly invest in junior mining companies. Right. And the reason is that these companies tend to be very undervalued in the bear market. And when the market starts to improve, these are the companies which actually perform extremely well. The good ones, the bad ones continue to deteriorate and lose in value. But if you can spot good companies in junior mining sector, you can actually do quite well.
Well, there's the magic. How do you spot them? What are you looking for? What are the telltale signs that you always look for?
So I do two things, basically. I try to understand the valuation of those projects. So I do a discounted cash flow of every company that I like to invest in. Mm-hmm. And I like to invest a lot of time talking with the management of these companies. I want to actually sit down with them, maybe travel with them to their projects to understand the personalities of the people who run these companies. Their weaknesses start to surface very quickly if you spend a couple of hours with them. If they don't understand finance and economics and business, and if they are con men, if you spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours with them, you will start to understand it. And that's what I try to do to understand whether I should be investing in them or not.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, but you're in a lucky position. So if I look at some of our viewers, in retail, high net worth family office, they don't have the luxury, other than going to maybe a conference and listening to someone talk, of wearing people down with questions and asking I always say, so you've got to ask the stupid out of them. So you ask them the same question in different ways and you get different answers. So what would you recommend for the average investor?
So do whatever is within your circle of influence. So let me talk about two companies that no longer exist. A company called Nikwe Platinum, a South African company, was getting acquired by Zijing Mining. I got my money today, actually. Zijing thank you. Zijing was buying this company for 10 cents Australian in cash, 10 cents Australian in cash. In January this year, when I mentioned this company at a conference, it was trading at 6.4 cents. You had a clear 35 to 40% upside in investing in this company. You did not really need to know much about geology or mining or the jurisdiction. All you needed to know was 10 cent and 6.4 cent. 10 cent was the value from your perspective, and 6.4 cent was what you were going to buy that value for. you would have positioned yourself for 50%. So if all you know is primary school math, you could have solved this puzzle and you could have invested for this 50% upside.
Okay, and you mentioned a second company?
Well, there's another company, the ticker is KRL. This was another company in Australia, which was getting bought by an Indonesian company. And there was exactly a cash offer, I think of 10 cents. And this offer closed about 3 months back. And there was another 25% upside in owning that company. If you pay attention to what you know and just stick to your knitting, you can actually identify companies that can actually give you an upside within the framework of your competencies.
Right, and you seem very comfortable getting PE type returns. You're not looking for a industry term 2-bagger, 3-bagger, 5-bagger. You're looking for plus 20% type returns by the sounds of it.
Absolutely, Matthew. Life is made up of bite-sized move forward. Now, I have actually made 10 baggers in my life, several 10 baggers, but when you only aim for 10 baggers, what you do is that you go to a casino and you end up losing everything you have. What you have to do is to take every step forward in a very rational way, break up your path into bite-sized pieces. And if you keep aiming for this 20, 30% assured upside, then you put yourself in a position to then have 10 baggers coming to you when the time comes. And I have had 10 baggers in the last 2 years, Novo Resources and Irving Resources. Actually, there were 20 baggers. Now, of course, you can't really make 10, 20 times your money because you don't know the bottom and you don't know the tops. Yeah. But you can actually, if you patiently keep valuing these companies, you might put yourself in a position to make a lot of money. But focus on making sure your downside is protected and there is a reasonable upside in investing in these companies.
So I'm going to look at, just want to get into that a bit. So you're focused 100% on the management team. That's the thing that you've mentioned. You've not mentioned technical analysis or the asset or anything to do with the commodity itself. You're saying it's the management will tell you what you need to know.
No, I actually do a lot of valuation on these companies. So I invest a lot of time valuing these companies. What I was saying was for people who don't understand much about these junior mining companies. I have been working in these companies for about 15 years now. Those people who don't understand can start from a very basic step, which is to start doing some basic math on some of these companies and then start to make money rather than go for the casino, which means that try to go for a gamble. And that's what I'm discouraging them to do. I'm in a position because I have known hundreds of these companies over the last 15 years. I know the insiders, I know the players, I know the fund managers, I know the investors, I know the properties.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, and we do see you around a lot at various conferences, so you are constantly gathering information. I mean, have you got more of an insight than anyone else because of what, spending your time at these conferences, or you rely on the usual resources?
I mostly rely on the usual resources. When I go to conferences and when I go traveling around the world, my basic interest is to understand and see things that the media might not tell you. And the media actually lies to you all the time. So I have to travel around the world to make my own opinion about what is actually happening in these countries.
It's interesting. I think there's definitely a lot of white noise out there. There's a lot of people saying the same things. It's very hard to work out what the truth looks like. I hear what you're saying there. But do you think the media, when you say the media, the companies are paying for the media, so therefore are you blaming the companies for misleading investors?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of pressures on everyone to not tell you the full truth. And when I used the word media, I was talking about the mainstream media, the international media. But even when it comes to companies, the managements will never tell you that their stock is overpriced. You have to work that out for yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and do your own analysis at the end of the day.
They will tell you it's undervalued, though.
They will always tell you it's undervalued. I have probably never heard any CEO telling me that his company is overvalued.